Meet the boob light. It glares down with superiority from its overhead vantage point. It knows deep down that its single source of light is underwhelming and quite frankly inadequate, yet nobody has bothered to replace it. So it sits there, smug and gloating, hanging from the ceiling, while feasting on dust and insects, staring down at us, day in and day out.
The boob light, also known as a flush mount dome light, is a light fixture that most of us have had at some point or another in our homes. If you think you haven't, I'm willing to bet you just weren't paying attention. It was there. It's always there. In fact, according to the internet and an architectural historian named Bo Sullivan, boob lights have been around since the late 1890s. Apparently they were used in situations where low ceiling light prevented longer fixtures, including theaters and even train cars. And over time, we've come to appreciate the boob light in a variety of different forms, colors, and sizes. We've got black boobs, white boobs, brass boobs, silver boobs, Tiffany boobs, modern boobs, smooth boobs, fancy boobs, rustic boobs, hanging boobs. The list goes on. Also, we're in the 21st century, so let's not forget about the smart boob, and probably my favorite, the edgy boob. So many variations on the same theme. We've come a long way in 130-ish years. Or have we? Sadly for the boob light, it's become one of the single most despised and ridiculed items in the interior design world. And yet, industrial designers continue to reinvent them over and over, and so the boob light continues to be used relentlessly in homes to this day. The eradication of the boob light has been an ongoing movement in the design world for quite some time now. And believe me when I say people will go to great lengths to disguise their boob lights. And I didn't think it possible, but in some cases, people have actually managed to make the boob light look like the better design option. Take Carol, for example, who was so desperate to disguise her boob light, she decided that hanging a colander from her ceiling looks better than a boob light. Or Jane, who hung a fruit bowl over top of her boob light. While I do understand the sentiment behind these DIYs, I'm not sure that any of these solutions are actually making the problem better. I think when you're at a point where you're spending time and energy that you will never get back, hanging colanders from your ceiling, it might be time to consider buying a new light fixture. There is one DIY, however, that I think is acceptable, and that's to replace the glass dome with a shade. There are lots of different tutorials online explaining how to do it, involving zip ties and conversion kits and things like that. If you can be bothered to do that, I think that that can be a really great solution and a lot cheaper than directly swapping out the light fixture. Okay, so it begs the question then. If boob lights are so unpopular, then why are they used so much? Well, like many things in life, it boils down to money. They're cheap. That's it. That's the only reason. Boob lights are cheap. Barring screwing a naked light bulb directly into your ceiling, boob lights are pretty much the cheapest light fixture you can get. Builders buy them in bulk because they're cheap, homeowners buy them because they're cheap, and landlords install them, first of all because they're cheap, but also so that the tenants won't be tempted to steal them. So while it may not look good, the boob light definitely fulfills its purpose of being an inexpensive overhead lighting solution. The fact that it's a dust trap and a cemetery for dead bugs is besides the point. Obviously, design isn't a priority for a lot of people, and that's fine. It gets the job done. But today, my friends, we're gonna look at what some other design alternatives are for the boob light. Okay, so you've committed to replacing the boob, and you're wise enough to know that hanging a colander from your ceiling maybe isn't the best way to go. So now what? Well, I'm happy to say you have options, many options. For starters, you could go with a flush mount in basically any shape other than a dome. Flush mount light fixtures are completely flush with the ceiling, which basically just means that there's no gap between the ceiling and the light fixture itself. Just do a search in any store and you'll find a plethora of incredible non-breast shaped flush mount lights. Semi-flush mounts are a great compromise for areas where maybe you envisioned a pendant, but then you realized that your ceiling was a little bit too low. A semi-flush mount hangs a small distance from the ceiling, but not as much as a pendant light does. The added bonus of a semi-flush mount is that they give your room more light than flush mounts do, because not only do they provide direct downward light, but they provide an uplit effect on the ceiling as well. Now, if you've got enough ceiling height, then you could hang a pendant instead. Pendants are the exact same concept as semi-flush mounts, only they hang down lower, so you may need to look at the height of your ceiling before going with this option. As a rule, you'll want to make sure you have about 7-foot clearance between the bottom of your light fixture and the floor. So if you have 8-foot ceilings, then you could probably get away with a pendant that hangs about 18 inches because you need to be 6'5" in order for your head to touch the bottom of your pendant, and not many people are that tall. If you've got higher ceilings than 8 feet, then you'll probably be fine with most pendants, although of course it's never a bad idea to double check things. Another option is to install a recessed light in the place of your boob light. Obviously this is a bit more involved since you may need to put a hole in your ceiling to install it. But strategically placed recessed lights can look really great, creating a very clean and airy look. Just don't make your ceiling look like Swiss cheese and you'll be good. If you too want to ban the boob light from your life forever, but you're not sure what style light to go with, or you're not sure if you want a flush mount or a semi-flush mount, and you're feeling a little lost, be sure to check out my roundup on my website, poshpennies.com, where I share, I think it's 15 of my favorite flush mounts and semi-flush mounts. If you want to check them out, I left a link for you in the description, and if not, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!